Hi, folks. I'm Phillis Bagman. You know, Phil's husband. Well, we're both Kevin's neighbor, and I wanted to review this council meeting. I saw my husband did a really good job at it, so I figured I would join in. And, well, here we go. And, you're going to take a minute for me to warm up to this, but, you know. So it's news over beers, and, well, I'm a Barton's neat kind of gal. All Kevin had was a crazy straw. You'd think you'd be more accessible to people with bag abilities. Anyways, here we go. So the council meeting that we're going to review is the committee meetings from October 19th. So here we roll. And let's see here, we made some notes. And with those news comes great responsibilities. Let's see here. So 0 to 6 minutes in. 6 minutes and 34 seconds. It's dead zone. So I have to do a shout out, by the way, to Kevin's daughter, Miley. She did my hair, and it looks fantastic. I just wish that I could make little Philomena's hair this awesome. So 6 minutes.
Alderman Gonzalez. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous committee meeting. Could I get a second, please? Second by Alderman Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. So we have unfinished business. We've got PL 50.
Getting a little clicky, boys and girls.
2-21 by Alderman Witt to adopt the City of Olean employee social media policy. Alderman Witt.
Oh, this will be fun.
I met with our new HR person, and he is going to review it for us. And I was just talking to the mayor, and he didn't see anything in the language that would be acceptable. So before I suggest moving this on, does anybody else have any questions? Sorry, guys.
Well, Alderman Robinson.
From our previous meeting, we had discussed getting some questions answered. And I guess this was for the mayor or maybe for the human resource. Is he human resource officer or director? What is his title?
Human resource specialist.
Specialist, okay.
Professional civil service specialist.
So, I mean, I don't know if
I don't know if Kevin has sponsors,
so
but
the mayor, you'd be able to answer, but what I wanted to find out was what would be the
My
course
husband
of
calls me
action
Grubby.
if the employee
Whatever.
violated this
I'm just a
policy?
plain old Olean gal.
If we were to get a complaint, if you go to, it'd be the second page.
So they break down discipline and the 8-minute mark.
The course of action would be, if the complaint is filed, human resource would be filed with the human resource officer or specialist, or the department head. It would be turned over to the human resource specialist. He would do the investigation on it, and then the interviews, and then the appropriate action would be taken.
Okay. And this is now, do we have a code of ethics policy?
Code of ethics, yes, we do. That needs work also.
So it's outdated? Okay.
A lot of our policies are outdated.
So, it's on, anyways,
Yeah, so I do have a note here, and whether it was going to be something that along the lines of what Alderman Robinson talked about, as far as just kind of closing the loop, as from an enforcement or discipline standpoint, does this, within this policy, reference back to discipline within, since we have a number of bargaining units? I mean, is there the progressive discipline for our bargaining unit? I mean, I think it may be beneficial to, and I don't even think it necessarily needs to be super detailed, but to kind of talk just about how you put it, Mayor, that, you know, any complaints that come in get filed with the human resource specialist based on the findings, the department head or yourself. I mean, I don't know how really the enforcement or discipline, if the policy is broken, what, you know, do they reference the collective bargaining agreement? Are there an outline? Is there an outline for discipline within that? I mean, I guess, is that kind of what you were asking, Vernon?
Yeah, that's kind of online with them. Curious about.
Does that need to be stated? Alderman Witt, do you have any thoughts?
I personally, I think the more detailed, the better. I just think if you leave it open to interpretation, I mean, the way you interpret it, the way I interpret it, the way Bert, could be totally different. So I think, and particularly since we have 3 different bargaining units, that might be one more thing that we have to look at before
So,
we move it forward.
details, huh?
It's just how
let's make it very detailed so that it can't be open for interpretation.
goes to the HR specialist. and
Well,
what
every situation is different, so you have to have it open to some amount of
start with the
interpretation.
unions, the discipline, or the level of the disciplines. I know they're the contracts, but is that what is going to follow suit with the social media?
And again, I'm just thinking out loud, right? Maybe it's something as simple as any complaints will be received and investigated by the human resource officer or specialist, and the findings of the investigation will, you know, be reviewed with the department head, and then the department head will be the one to determine the corrective, you know, discipline, or however you want to word it, under the collective bargaining agreements. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, if that's, we can look at putting something like that in there, so.
And it could just, I think it could be short and sweet and to the point.
But don't we want details? Not open to interpretation?
You know, those would be the steps we can follow.
So what I even have written down here, so we also talked about this the last time, is a number 6, and that would be like enforcement, that addresses discipline. So I think if we could maybe get Ward to offer some insight, Mayor, or even yourself or Alderman Witt, just kind of to close that loop, I think we'll be good to go.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll stop in and see one in a minute.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I'm not in a committee, but I'd just like to add, our union, where I worked, we had, it was called, like you said, progressive discipline. First step was a verbal, depending on how serious the offense is, of course, and then a written, and then more serious, the third step, so.
I don't think we want to put that in this policy. We want to put something in that says we will go by the discipline in the collective bargaining agreement. Correct. Yeah.
I agree. Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the social media policy? Is everyone good to go after we get that cleared up this morning?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So do you
I
want
happen to be with my husband and with Kevin on this issue. This is
Okay,
I'll
motion.
make that motion.
completely against people's freedom of expression.
All in favor?
It's just
Aye.
ridiculous.
Okay.
Let's move forward,
On the
Olean,
next
right?
week's planning meeting. Okay, so we have a number of items, new referrals for consideration, a lot of different discussion items. And so first up, we've got murals. The Alderman Robinson, give us an update on the murals.
Thank you, John. First, things. I want to thank Sammy Gonzalez for bringing this to my attention. He's not in my ward, but This is something that he had mentioned to me and said, you know, how come we don't have murals in Olean? So that's why this was brought forward. And then Mayor, I want to apologize because I know in the very beginning I was showing frustration over the fact that we were trying to, or I was trying to get something going, and I didn't understand that there was logistics involved that was a little more in depth than what I thought. In my world, my function, you can take and, you know, we want to paint the stadium. Let's get a bunch of guys and get some paint. We can take it out of kitty funds, $50, go paint the wall, boom, done. So I'm mistaken. So over the past few weeks, I've met with numerous artists via Zoom, phone, and in person. To start, Victoria Swire, you guys are familiar with her, and Andy Mellon, some of you are familiar with him. They are very much interested in murals for the city. I've also discussed with renowned artist Sean Dunwoody. He's out of Rochester, and I met with him.
Renowned, huh?
Via Zoom with Amy Vina. She's also a local here. They've expressed interest, and we had a nice conversation, and he went about his process for coming to a city and learning what the people want as far as the design, and then coming up with different ways of getting the community involved. And I like that idea. One of the methods that he mentioned was paint day. I'll come back to that. I also met with Meg Seligman. I hope I pronounced her name right. She's also a local. She's the woman that's interested in doing a mural in honor of her father in the JCC building. I talked to her, and I went to her presentation when she came to town, and during her presentation, we learned that there's a method for painting by the numbers, or painting in layers. So discussing this with her the next day, we came up with a plan, and what we're hoping is, when I met with Michael Winterman, he's the executive director for Tri-County Arts Council. We met and we discussed if we can get these group of artists together.
Okay.
Mind you, there were 15 to 20 people that came to Meg's presentation that night. So there are a lot of artists that are interested in helping Olean with this, with some being novice and a lot of them being professionals, or had experience, I should say, with painting. That we do something in the city called a paint day, where we involve everyone, kids, adults, you name it. And we do something where we can do either one project at a time or multiple projects. We can do it in conjunction with the one that Amy is doing and have that as paint day, or we can schedule it for a later time if it's something that draws a huge crowd. But we can do this and say do a paint by the numbers. And we have it where they come in and the kids will come in and paint a lower section and paint numbers one, all the ones red. And then they'll have another group who come in and paint all the other numbers blue. So, and eventually this is all gonna come out into a huge mural. What happens is each person, when the mural is done, there's a card that's given of a picture of that art. And on that section where that particular person painted will be circled on that card, and it'll have their signature. So they'll be able to say, I painted this. They were a part of this. And I think that would be great for bringing the community together. I think it'd be great for a little bit of camaraderie, you should say. So I think it would be beneficial to the city, you know, especially the downtown district, you know, could prosper from it. If you have a bunch of people coming in from out of town, this is something that would draw a lot of people. And I want to remind you that artist Sean Dunwoody has a huge...
I want to talk about this point then. So this sounds like a great idea to get the community involved. My only concern is, like, who gets to pick what the murals are
thoughts and
of?
ideas in
Are
these
they going
projects
to
are
be
important.
random?
So we don't
They're
want
going
to
to be
get
little kid,
So we discussed it a little bit, and
you know,
we figured,
drawings? Like what
so what we're going to do is we're going to allow
thoughts?
them
Or is it going to
to
be, you know,
get
people
together,
in the
come
military?
up with their thoughts and
Raising
ideas.
the
Who's
flag
going to participate
kind of thing?
and
Like
be a
a,
part of this group. And once we have more info and more ideas, I'll keep the council updated. And then as far as when they are ready to present an art piece, they would put it on a Photoshop document, and that way we can visually look at it and see what it would look like and where they're thinking that it should go. And then from there, we can vote and discuss from there. So with all of this being said, my goal or what I envision is people coming to Olean to tour here because of our statues, festivals, and for family. They're trying to figure that people will come here, they'll see the scooters, they'll want to ride the scooters up and down downtown. We'll have accessible parking, we'll have Bob Ring's wayfinding project going along Union and State Street. That'll tell you all the different
So
things.
these murals sound great.
At
At 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Talks about
Because
grants.
they're a not-for-profit, that's why we were hoping, or that's why I was hoping, that they would take a lead. Because that way they could put in for grants and try to get things paid for. And he has the experience with working with the different artists. Different artists can require X amount of dollars. So they're experienced with that.
The only downside to grants is I hope that you anticipate your project taking an additional
Pass that on.
year or two of lead time with the grant
And I
application
know I
to get processed
touched
and
base
sent in.
with
and
Carrie
the
Orr,
awards.
and she provided some information as well for methods that are available for grants. And I passed that information on to
So, moving beyond that, let's see here. So the murals are underway.
I was looking for some updates. First, the Franchot Park entrance update.
Yeah, Bob is away at the Public Works Conference for NICOM, so he will be back. I believe he's back tomorrow. But anyways, Bob did. I sent the list off to him, and he did give me some updates here. So as for the Franchot Park entrance, anticipating a 2022 construction. Money may be spent well as a grant match and include the improvements to the pool and its transition to a splash pad. Chris Uwari and I are going to meet with the company that installs splash pad equipment next, and gives a sense of the layout and the cost of a splash pad. Sand volleyball courts might be interesting for Franchot as part of the park upgrade. There is space between the horseshoe pits and the levee. So we can continue on. I believe we have 50,000 for the entrance, but I know there was some interest in doing more at Franchot Park. So that's Bob that's what he's reporting on that. Don't you just go on Forest Park?
Yeah, Bill.
One of the major reasons there's a lot of interest recently is because this whole marginalized community issue, right? So that's the biggest thing here. The marginalized community, right? Like Franchot Park is their symbol. I'm sorry, because they live on West Green Street, does that mean that they're impoverished? Does that mean they're marginalized? I would say not, but because when there were minorities back in the 90s living there, they used Franchot Park, so now all of a sudden, as those people have not been oppressed, been successful adults and individuals, they show up to the council meetings and gripe about how Olean is systemically racist and the cops are abusive, and why haven't you done anything with Franchot Park? Really? Well, I'm pretty sure there's more minorities that live around Oakville Park than around Franchot, just because the people might be of a slightly lower income around Franchot. Does that mean that they're marginalized? I guess from an economic standpoint, possibly, but let's really just think about that for a minute. And then have you talked to the residents near the park? Because me and my husband Phil go down there quite often, and we know a few of the people. And they are not excited about this. They might be excited about an upgrade on a splash pad and other things at the park, but they know what's going to happen. Franchot Park is notorious for people selling drugs, ODing at night in the park, vandalism. I mean, these are big things that plague the park. So let's put all the new stuff down there, and then let the park eat the new stuff. that's what usually happens, and it's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, especially when most of the residents that are going to be living next to this entrance to OD alley of a drug park, I mean, during the day, the parents usually do a good job shedding light on the drug addicts and shooing them out of there. But there's still a lot of riffraff that walk.
Keep going down the list here. So Cornice Park grant update.
You're working on this, working on,
It's just, you know, to talk to the residents. This is Paul Gonzalez's word. I haven't heard a peep out of Paul. And maybe he's not at this meeting. He might not be, but still, like, he doesn't walk down there. Because when he and Phil talk to some of those neighbors, they have no idea. They've never met their alderman. And it's funny that they would be pushing such a project in Ward 3 in the lower income area, all because one or two public comments go through, and then they don't really put out a public hearing. Other than, I mean, obviously, if you count this as a public hearing. But yeah.
on this in the winter, be ready for spring grant application for the Ralph Wilson Foundation. And we'll also be looking to apps or applications to Empire State Development for that too.
So, they're talking about the inclusive playground project.
That we're working on, and we'll keep the council in the loop on that. Inclusive playground project. This is we'll be working within tandem, and John will be part of that committee. Tandem's been raising money, but we have money. I believe we have how much?
50.
Yeah, I think we have 50,000 for there. So one of the questions is okay, where should this inclusive park be? Should it be as part of the Forness update? Should it be at Franchot? Or is this something that we could do at Marcus Park in a renovation, in an upgrading of Marcus Park? So we
The upgrade should also include bringing the lights back. We used to love watching the softball games down at Marcus Park. No, they don't hold them down there because it gets dark, and they just shut it down. All because the former DPW director's sister-in-law didn't like the park and all of the softball, which is kind of ridiculous.
We ran the issues we had in the summer with the tanks
So,
dropping.
moving on.
I've asked, he's saying here, he's asked Linda Witt to discuss with the residents of the area to see what, if any, additional landscaping they would like to see. This is a couple of weeks ago.
So they start a
He didn't hear back.
pump project, and they're going to talk about East State Street.
Okay, so that's all on that, and then there was one more item. The East State Street vacant property, that's at 209 East State Street.
So the city bought and demolished the property there.
Grants over there to change that area into a nice area for to complement the senior center. We got turned down on the AARP grant. We're waiting on the.
They want to add seating.
We also have, the senior league is also given money for that project there. So that'll be a project that'll move forward as we move on. Now remember, as part of the East State Street project, that sidewalk's going to be widened there, so we have to take that in consideration with whatever we do there. Some of the thoughts is to have a handicap accessible door on that side of the center. Have seating area out there, gazebo out there, possibility, and some raised garden, raised gardens. Yeah. So for the seniors to plant things and that, and make that a real nice area.
So
it's a
raised
fenced
gardens.
in, and we're been talking about how we're going to do it at the street opening there too. So that's.
Yeah, so they want to raise gardens and seating. What about the seating at the senior center that's on Berry Street? They never use that. I find it funny. It's a nice little quaint picnic area, and nobody ever sits there. So what do you think they're going to do with a place twice the size?
Update everybody on
don't worry,
All right.
we'll put our
Very much.
city parks department on it to mow it
I
as
would just
no one
bring
leaves it.
back to,
They
something
might pave
that
shuffleboard or
I've
bocce
been
in
hoping
some,
would become a
but
reality for
other than
quite a
that-
while, and that would be to see a splash pad in Olean.
Man, here's
I
John's
know,
splash pad.
I put together a presentation a couple of years ago, and I know it's kind of a pipe dream, but I think,
Yeah,
I
pipe
fully
dream it is.
support you and Bob with a vision. I think many of us probably would, to see the old wading pool transition into a splash pad. Especially for this, given the struggles finding
Yes.
lifeguards this past year.
Well, so the biggest problem with lifeguards is they can't watch the big pool.
And we really want to.
You need 3 or 4 lifeguards on duty there. With the Franchot Park one as is, I think you just need 1. So with only having 3 lifeguards, you can't open the big pool. I'd put the splash pad in order.
With a new entrance to Franchot Park, and then also bouncing to the concept of Marcus Park. Because their facilities are right near.
Alright, so 38 minutes in. We've got
Instead of the pool, they used to have.
Fully supportive, Mayor. Okay, any other comments or questions? Alderman Witt.
And thank you, John. I put these on finance because what I wanted to do is, and I talked to John about this, is halfway through the year, we really need to look at where our finances are. And I think having projects that we set money aside, or we spent money, or that we're continually spending money. For instance,
Oh,
Franchot, when I
this
was
hair is heavy.
talking about putting that on, we have that 50,000, and I think the splash pad would be great. We were in Burlington, Vermont, and they put one in the middle of the city in this huge park where they have their farmers market and stuff. And they put a splash pad in instead of the pool. They used to have a wading pool for the kids. So they put a splash pad on. I have a picture of it, I can show you. And what they did is they put lights, so the kids can, touch
Okay,
the lights
moving
on and off. So you can do a lot of really cool things with splash pads. So I think that's a great idea.
Oh yeah, like splash. Yep. Splashing. Let's talk about splashing. Yay, splash. Like that movie with Tom Hanks.
So we could put our 5.
Oh, Tom Hanks. He used to be so dreamy.
Anything else?
Since we're talking about parks, can I bring something up?
Oh boy.
Does it get paid by the end of the year?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, just,
Alderman Anastasia.
just when you speak of state, but. We talked about it last year, but I haven't heard anything, and I was just asked the other day by 2 of my constituents, is the city still looking at a dog park? And I told them that they were looking at Oak Hill Historical District, and I didn't have an answer to them, so I was just wondering if they were still looking into that.
Yes, we are. We just had a meeting, what did we have with John last, Friday?
Yeah. Yes.
Or was it?
Third, this last week.
Yeah, we had a meeting, and, yeah, that's part of the DRI, Downtown Revitalization Initiative, and Tammy Hilme is working with the, data mixed up.
That'll grow hair on your ovaries. Whew.
It's
It's a theater workshop.
Theater workshop?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's working with them to design the amphitheater.
The design the amphitheater, and you're gonna put a dog park in at Oak Hill. I've heard mixed reviews about this.
So
And let's hear what
there's a lot of
sitting
work to do on
Councilman
it. We're moving forward with it.
Steve Barnard. Now, obviously, there's been an election since we've done this.
As part of
We've
the
got
DRI.
one more council meeting to review, and then we'll be caught up.
Any other questions?
I told Phil I'd try to get 2 done for him.
Alderman Barner.
I don't think having a dog park up at Oak Hill Park is a good idea. That there's too many kids playing up there, and I just don't think your dog park is a great idea for Oak Hill.
Okay. Well, I'll address that, as far as,
Oh, I
that,
bet you will.
as far as that goes. So there is about, how many square feet?
Put
of
your hands on the
fencing
desk,
is
Alderman
going
Crawford.
in?
This is a family show.
Some say.
Yeah, it's quite
A lot.
yeah.
So there's 5-foot fencing going in around the entire south end, which would be the south closest to Fourth Street, that area there. Right now, it's inactive except for fights after school and maybe the occasional overdose. But it's activating that end of the park
I mean,
in a positive
they
way.
need a place to
So
fight.
5-foot fencing.
Where are they gonna take out their frustrations and anger?
The plan
That
is
corner
to
of Oak
put
Hill Park.
a perennial,
Oh, glory.
arborvitae's along the exterior, on the outside of the fence. You don't want to put them on the inside of the fence for certain reasons with dogs. So we're putting them on the outside of the fence to create a natural sound barrier as well as a visual barrier to the community. So the exterior side is going to be blocked by arborvitae's.
Alright, so then they agree about the dog park a little bit more, and then 52 minutes in.
Let the record show that all aldermen are
Committee of the
present
whole.
except for Alderman Gonzalez.
Oh, yeah, he is going.
So we have no unfinished business. We've got some new referrals for consideration, and I'm going to go ahead and take just to check.
53 minutes in.
Would we be able to, for a couple of weekends, after we stop sweeping up the leaves in the streets, would we be able to open up the Front Street lot? Because typically what happens, the leaves take an extended period of time to fall off the trees, and by the time we're done doing the sweeping in the roads, there's still, leaves that people have in their yards, and they can't put them in the road because they start plowing. And so the request was, would you guys consider, opening up maybe Front Street lot a couple Saturdays in mid-November after we're done doing them. So I thought I would pass that along and see if that's something that you
We
can.
did extend it to a couple of weeks in October, but I think we could do that in November.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, is that something some of you others get? I mean, that's been at least, that's been a concern of.
So open up Front Street for more leaves. Okay.
So anyways, okay, number one. Number two, I sent all of the aldermen an email on this. I didn't hear of any concerns, okay? But it's been on my mind for a long time. I'm proposing that we move all of our meeting times from now on to 6 p.m. Committees, regular meetings, keep it consistent. I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years, and I still have to look at the calendar to see what Tuesday of the month it is. Is it at 5:30 or 6:30?
Alright, so then we're
So,
going to meeting to 6 p.m.
it's-
How efficient are you?
Okay. So,
Now,
we have our latest draft.
we get permission from the CRB work session.
Just as a reminder, Alderman Panis and Alderman Robinson have collaborated. We all, the three of us met. We worked on a draft policy, and then that got handed out 2 weeks ago, I believe. Asked for you to come up with some thoughts. Now, in the meantime, we did, the mayor did send this off to the patrol unit and command unit law enforcement officers union
They
representatives,
reviewed it.
which
Okay, let's skip forward to 59 minutes. Ms. Witt gives us some great insight.
feedback that we've received. Are there any initial comments on this? Alderman Witt? Thank you.
I read through it a couple times, and I think, about a month ago, I had mentioned simplifying it, and I think you did a really good job of doing that. And then I looked over what Joe Bracchio sent us, and it'd be interesting to go through this. I kind of see the point of what he sent us, but I think some of your last draft.
So yeah, Linda wants to make it simple now. Or before she wanted so many details that your heads would spin and there was no room for interpretation, which in and of itself creates interpretation. But Linda wants it simple, so Linda will get it simple. And then 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 minute, 13 seconds in.
Today. beneficial it will be for all of us to sit here and work through line by line again. What I might suggest is kicking this to a smaller group of maybe me, Vernon, and Jason sitting down and combing through some of this material. I would appreciate essentially forming a subcommittee to try to work through some of this. I think we all should have input, but I don't know if it's going to be beneficial for all of us to, there's a lot of moving pieces, I feel like, and now we've got Jack's opinion too, which is short and sweet, but I was going to forward that off to the council.
So we're looking forward to seeing those lower subcommittee meetings that you're going to be creating here. The delays are good, especially with CRB type stuff. But given that there'll be 3 aldermen in the room, we're super excited here over at Life22 to see those meetings go live. Like all the other times that you guys have met in groups of 3.
Questions, but I'm wondering if it would be more beneficial for the council, for our time, if a smaller group of us were able to kind of.
So, yeah, and they talk about that, and then about 1 hour and 6 minutes in.
Going out to the community for a vote. Anytime you are going to propose something that goes against the basic constitution of the city, which we have a city charter, so anytime you go against something that is written as the basic confines or construct of that charter, for example,
Alderman Crawford giving
mayor, we
Jason Canis a definition of a referendum.
For our city, okay? And so the mayor gets to appoint members to committees, right? To the zoning board, the planning board, and we get to approve.
The definition is being spoken, and we're going to skip ahead to 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Our new district to be north and south, they want to merge us in with Niagara Falls and Buffalo and all that. So I'm giving testimony that we want it to stay east and west. So I will be at.
Good on you, Bill. Oh yeah, and 30 seconds ago, he mentioned that we got a bird scooter's 3rd payment.
Now, who's putting the testimony on? I mean, what is it
This is
for?
Well, clearly Bill, he's giving testimony.
So you can get on the New York State website and you can give comment too on it. So I think it's New York State IR redistributing something. IRC.gov. Okay. And that'll take you to that. And it was just in the Times Herald here a few days ago. So it's important that we maintain,
That is very important. Districting is very important, Bill. So we're glad you're there to speak on our behalf. And then they, the next 20 seconds or so, they adjourn. And that's all for the 10/19/2021 meeting. I appreciate you guys sitting here with me, joining me on the show. I'm glad that I can help while Kevin's out running service calls and doing whatever Kevin does. But we're here to hold down the fort. And don't forget to like and subscribe. This is very important so that you can get all the nice facts. And Kevin says that you guys write a lot of hate mail. I haven't seen any, so I'd implore you guys to write some and make me cringe, because I'm a sassy broad, and I can take a lot more than these pussy-ass men that they have me working here on the show with. For Christ's sakes, I'm drinking Barton's cheap rum out of neat through a crazy straw. So, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if I do get offended by your horrid comments, I will fight whoever down at Oak Hill Park before they put that dog park in. And I bet you'll be shockingly surprised. So, other than that, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you here for the next meeting.